Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to the Hydrogen Shift. The window is open. We're super excited to have y'all this evening. This is going to be a very special call. I'd like to start this off with just reminding everyone to please keep your cameras and your voice you're off just during the call. At the end, we are going to have a live Q&A and plenty of time to get your questions answered and personal attention. We hope to see your faces at that time and get to connect with you. This is going to be a very powerful evening, a very life-changing evening full of information that is just coming into humanity in a way that is going to change the trajectory of the future. So I hope you have brought a pen and paper. And in the chat, if you could please drop in where you're coming in from, your name, and who invited you here, and maybe what called you to learn about molecular hydrogen tonight. Or if you already know a lot about it, what do you love about it? Why are you excited about it? We're really here to bring the attention to this amazing molecule. And we have an incredible guest tonight, and we will get to him in just a moment. With that, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Mary Rose Elizabeth Wright. I have been a real estate agent and a developer for the last 11 years. And what's really interesting is I found out about molecular hydrogen because real estate went out the window for me and I didn't know what I was going to do. I ended up finding out about an incredible opportunity through online affiliate marketing with a water ionizer from Japan. I had no clue what this thing did. And if it wasn't for this amazing man who is going to educate us all tonight, I still wouldn't know. I didn't know for several years after using it why I was getting therapeutic benefits from an ionizer. And so we're going to go and jump into that. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to be your hostess for this evening. At the end, I'll come back on, but I'm your go-to water girl. John C. Campbell is our molecular hydrogen miracle molecule mentor. And if you want about water, come talk to me. Send me your zip code. I will check everything in your water and talk to you about clean quality drinking water. And then John's your go-to on molecular hydrogen. And they actually can go hand in hand in many ways. So John, believe it or not, is actually my stepdad. Crazy story is that when I was a kid, my mother married a man I didn't know was going to become the greatest mentor of my life. And he is the one person who has always fully believed in me and investigated everything I've ever been a part of to make sure it's legitimate and real. We worked on a huge condo development where he didn't even have a background in that, but he brought all of his expertise as a mentor and helped me develop an amazing presentation. And then 5 years ago, excuse me, when I got my ionizer, he said, ma'am, leave behind your magic water. I'm going to do some investigation. And lo and behold, it became better than we ever could have imagined. And now we have an incredible, powerful story and a testimony that we hope to change everyone around us and bring more prosperity and health and well-being to their lives. And with that, I'm going to bring John on and let him take over. John.
There we go. Let me hit the buttons. So, hello, everybody. And it's nice to be here tonight. It's nice to be here with my daughter always. And I'm really happy to be able to talk to y'all more about molecular hydrogen because that's the passion of my life. And I got into it by accident because Mary Rose was wanting to understand how this hydrogen water generating product, which back then they were just calling it electrolyzed reduced water, how it worked, what it did for people, why so many people had so many good testimonials about it, that she came to me and I did some studying and immediately saw the potential, which is some of what we're going to talk about. More of what I really want to talk about is the reality of molecular hydrogen around the world because the U.S. is behind the curve. Uh, the other countries, like in Germany, they've got an Alzheimer's clinic already where all they do is feed people molecular hydrogen, and they see the improvements in the standardized Alzheimer's test scores, and they see not only do they improve, but they last. The improvements stay with people. There's a lot of other things going on around the world. We're going to talk about some of that right now. And Mary Rose, if you'll move it forward. There we go. So a little bit about myself. I do come from the tech industry. I was with Dell for 22 years. I joined back when we were that little old catalog company from Texas, and there are about 5,000 people there. I was on about a year after I joined. I joined the first team to support the internet because Dell was trying to figure out if the internet could make him any money at the time. And I knew I'd almost started an internet company before I went to work for Dell, so I knew what the realities of the internet were, and I jumped on that team and made money hand over fist for a couple of years because they couldn't keep up with our quotas. There was so much coming off the internet that it really was very lucrative for all the people on what they called a super queue back then. After that, and I figured it out at that point that it was always good to be on the forefront of technology. That's where the money was. And so the next thing that I did is Dell was the devil for a long time. When we decided to take the direct model and start working with partners, with resellers, we put a team together to support that. And I was on that team. I was the first enterprise design person on that team. So it was me and 15 of the best sales reps at Dell, supporting every partner in the United States that thought they might want to do business with Dell. I always remember the first month on that queue, we sold a total of 4 servers to every partner in the United States, total of 4. 10 years later, I was still in that division because it was always lucrative there. We were always making more money than you could keep up with. And at that point, I had one partner, and I think my quota the last quarter I was there was 55 million, and I did 250 million that quarter along with a team of people. It wasn't just me. While I was there, it was nice to be on that forefront because it helped me not only to earn a lot of money, but to get a lot of recognition. I went on 5 Circle of Excellence trips, which they would do for the top sales earners every quarter. They'd take a group of us and take us someplace nice. Like for one time, we stayed for a week in the Plaza Hotel in New York, and it was all on Dell's nickel, right? We didn't spend a dime on it. And they treated us like royalty the whole time. And I got to hang with some of the best people at Dell. So I always enjoyed the Circle of Excellence trips. As a TSR, as an enterprise design guy for sales, which is, selling server storage and networking to our customers, I was twice TSR of the year. And then probably my proudest award was Sales Team of the Year supporting Redapt. That was a highlight of working at Dell. Partners typically did about 4% of their business with Dell. With Redapt, we actually got up to 60% of their business, and we're building huge networks with them, like the Uber network. And that was just a lot of fun. And I was working with what I called my A team back then because these reps were just as sharp as anybody at Dell, and they were very no nonsense. We were bottom line, and they were making money hand over foot there too. Okay, next. So I was always a storyteller, though. And when I was leaving Dell to go support one of Dell's biggest partners, I wrote a book about my time at Dell, and it was called Riding on the Coattails of Genius. I even sent it over to Michael Dell, and he sent me back a nice note saying that he enjoyed it. But then the partner that I went to support sold out to a much larger company in Europe. And I had enough money at that point from my years in tech that I actually retired at 61 and went back to my first love, which was writing. And I started writing a series called The Celestial Wars, which was filled with really good guys and really bad guys. So they were very powerful characters, and it was a lot of fun to write. And I'm actually on the last book in the series now. So book number 9 is coming out shortly, but these are the other 8 books in the series right here. And Mary Rose. So I retired at 61, right? And I'm writing and I'm enjoying myself, thinking that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But then Mary Rose came to me with this new product, wanted to know about it. I did a deep dive to help her understand what the actual benefit of the product was, because 5 years ago, nobody really knew. It was still a brand new science, and there was maybe 100 studies out about molecular hydrogen at that point, and and they were talking about uh, you know, at least the people that were selling the machines were talking about all sorts of other things. I went in and learned about molecular hydrogen, knew that was the value of the machines. Then I sat for a few years because I bought a machine. I believed in what was going on. I lost 30 or 40 pounds using my machine. I played golf all the time. I felt great, but I didn't really think about it that much until my next door neighbor, my daughter came to visit, and my next door neighbor bought a machine from her, and I decided it was time to bone up on the science. And so 4 years later, uh, there were no longer 100 studies. There were 3,500 studies worldwide. There were laboratories all over the world that were digging into what molecular hydrogen could do for the human body and finding out all sorts of things. And they'd start calling it the miracle molecule. And I claimed that name for my tagline for my stuff because it just made perfect sense to me. The things that they were already finding out that molecular hydrogen was doing had to do with quick tumor reductions, cancer reductions, going away, help with Alzheimer's and other things like that. And it was still there's still a lot to come, but that was already out there and already part of the articles that were being put out by the laboratories. So I became a consultant after that because I just kept getting more and more excited. I went through the level one course at the Molecular Hydrogen Institute, and then I became a level two consultant because I was enjoying the training so much. The course is one of the few courses in the United States that are focused on molecular hydrogen, maybe in fact the only one. Over in Japan, the Harvards of Japan teach molecular hydrogen. Here we have Dr. Tyler LeBaron, PhD, who's been focused on molecular hydrogen since he was a college student, who got his master's on molecular hydrogen, got his PhD focused around molecular hydrogen, started the institute as a nonprofit to help disseminate word of molecular hydrogen to the world, and was my teacher. And I was so lucky to be taught by somebody who's such a genius and knows so much about molecular hydrogen. Mary Rose, thank you. So one of the first things I did when I got into it and got my certifications was to try to start putting the word out to other people, because it every time I saw anything about it, it was helping people. And so I would take the studies on PubMed, which is the proper place to go study about molecular hydrogen. Don't go to Google; it's a snake pit of FUD. Go to the PubMed site, which is run by the government, it vets the studies and it publishes good, solid, peer-reviewed studies, not the cheap stuff, the very good studies by scientists vetted by other scientists. And I would study those, and every one of them was just full of scientific jargon. You had to wade through them to get to good answers, but I would persevere, and I would get to the good answer, and then I would try to disseminate it more simply for the rest of the world to consume. This is just one of the studies that I put up on my site, which is facebook.com/groups/miracle molecule mentor. And I took this entire 4 or 5 page study and was able to disseminate it down to one slide. And that slide had the graph on it that made such an impact on me that I felt like this gets the point across. So they had a study where they took a bunch of mice, and two of the three control groups were they created Alzheimer's in the mice, sad but true. And then they started running them through the maze, and for 7 months they ran these mice through the same maze. Well, the first control group didn't have Alzheimer's, and so they went right through the maze without any problem at all. And 7 months later, they're still going right through the maze, going straight for the food. The second group had Alzheimer's, but they fed them tap water. And after 7 months, even 7 months of running through the maze didn't do them any good. It looks like a child's crayon scrawling. They were obviously lost and just got to the food, luckily, in the end. So that was typical of Alzheimer's, right? And y'all know how horrible that disease can be. I've got a friend dealing with memory issues that I talk to all the time, and sometimes I can have the same conversation with him 5 times on the same phone call, the same conversation. And so it's just sad to see. Well, so the third group of mice, they the only thing they did different, instead of feeding them tap water, they fed them hydrogen rich water. And after going through this maze over 7 months, they pretty much, that their brains were had the molecular hydrogen had been fighting the Alzheimer's, and their brains were still in pretty good shape. They obviously still had Alzheimer's. They made one mistake, but then they went right to the food. And that to me is a really powerful graph showing what the difference is in the lives that get impacted by molecular hydrogen, which is the next thing I want to talk about. Because I mean, it's almost like divine timing. As I was studying molecular hydrogen and learning what it was all about and how to work with it and learning all the science behind it, I had an RSV virus. So about a year ago. I went down hard. I was sick for several weeks. I was in the emergency room, and my lungs got scarred up by the virus. I had 67% of my lungs still working, and so I was locked to my couch. I was coughing all the time, horrible coughing fits, and it was just, there was no quality of life left. And the doctors weren't giving me any hope. I had every test in the world done, including a couple of CAT scans. And at the end of it all, the doctor's prognosis was, your lungs are all scarred up. They're never going to get any better. Our job, as we see it, is to try to keep you off of oxygen for as long as we can, but you will be on oxygen eventually. You have no hope, is really what it came down to. Well, I knew enough about molecular hydrogen by that point to feel like I could treat myself. And in fact, the main paper that was put out on lungs and molecular hydrogen was put out by my teacher, Dr. LeBaron, and it offered some hope to me. I then created my own regime. It was a saturation protocol based on some of the studies that I had read. And so every morning I would get up, I would spend an hour in a molecular hydrogen bath, and then I would get out of the bath and I would pour some water from my trusty K, which was hydrogen rich water, and I would drink that all day. I would drink at least 100 ounces of HRW water a day. And then on top of that, Dr. LeBaron helped create a inhaler, molecular hydrogen inhaler, that gave you defined therapeutic doses of molecular hydrogen. Most inhalers, it's just hit or miss. His, you knew exactly what you were getting. You knew what the fraction of inspired hydrogen was. And I would stay on that for 6 to 8 hours a day. And within 3 weeks, and seriously, within 3 weeks, in fact, the exact day was April 6th, suddenly I could breathe again without coughing every single time. If I tried to take a deep breath at all, it was a coughing fit. And all of a sudden I could breathe again without coughing. And next thing you know, I'm outside. I'm off the couch. I'm outside. I start walking around the block. At first I could make it about halfway around the block. Then I could make it all the way around the block, and then I could make it all the way around the block without stopping. And I've stayed on. In fact, I've got a molecular hydrogen inhaler right next to me. I use it at least 2 or 3 hours a day still. I still start my morning out with the bath, and I still drink at least 100 ounces of HRW water a day. And every week, I feel more and more normal. I got back on my 850-pound motorcycle the other day for the first time in months, and felt like I could handle it again. It's a big monster motorcycle, but I've been riding for 50 years, and my brain was clear again, because it had been pretty messed up at one point, just because it wasn't getting oxygen, and my muscles, and all of my body felt comfortable and in control and able to handle that motorcycle without a problem. And it's because I did that saturation protocol for several weeks, and on the other end of it, stuck with it and continued to get better and better and better, to the point now where I feel like I'm getting close to normal. In 2 months I have another CT scan, and I'll know for sure at that point. Okay. So I'm talking a little bit about molecular hydrogen without really telling you what it is. the most interesting thing about this little simple molecule, which is indeed the smallest, most abundant molecule in the universe, is that it helped get the universe kickstarted. It had the ability to help get the stars going and to get the early universe working properly, and then in and on early Earth, back when the Earth was just starting, the hydrothermal vents, which is where they think life started, they had hydrogen, molecular hydrogen coming out of those vents, and the discussion by the scientists now is all around how molecular hydrogen, with its ability, with its volatility, had the ability to go in and create complex life where before none had existed. So it actually there was life. All of the little bacterium and such were very simple and very basic until molecular hydrogen got its hand in the game, and then complex life began. Uh, it just makes sense after that that evolution used that little molecule that could go anywhere in the human body, right, to help the human body. And the way it works is molecular hydrogen is an adaptogenic molecule. There's nothing else like it. It's something that will go in and it works in your gut, in your immune system, which is where the immune system lives in the gut. It works to either add to things to make the immune system work better, or if the immune system's overactive, it'll reverse that electron chain and take away from things so that the immune system's it's not going crazy. It's not causing things like autoimmune diseases. So basically, evolution used molecular hydrogen to keep your system in balance or in homeostasis, which is really what health is all about. It's about staying balanced, and it's about things working properly and not going crazy, working the way that they should. And that's exactly what this adaptogenic molecule does for your body. And so it seems amazing, it seems miraculous to us, but the truth is it's millions of years of evolution, and it's not just human beings. All life on Earth, anything with a stomach, has this same um, focus on molecular hydrogen that evolution has brought about, and it allows the body when you're young to stay healthy. In fact, when you are young, you're making 8 to 10 liters of molecular hydrogen a day, and that's what's keeping you healthy and keeping the cancers and the other things away that you typically don't deal with when you're young. As you get older, molecular hydrogen stops being produced and the body starts aging. Okay. And so you think that, wow, that's incredible. That's absolutely amazing. And the truth is, it is, but it's mostly known for it's mostly changing things around the rest of the world, not in the U.S. so far. Japan was the one that Dr. Shigeo Ota back in 2007. He's the one that discovered the benefits of molecular hydrogen. In a paper published in Nature magazine, he was showing where molecular hydrogen could go in and reduce tumors in mice and help dispel cancers. And that's pretty amazing to start. But since then, the 3,500 labs that have studied it have found that molecular hydrogen affects over 180 human diseases. Well, Japan picked up on that long before we did, and it now has moved into Japanese society, much more so than it is in American society. And in fact, the Japanese Ministry of Health approved the particular device I have, the Enagic Kangen K8, as a medical device to be used in hospitals to help people with problems especially stomach problems, that molecular hydrogen could help with. And that was quite a while ago. Uh, the um, uh, the other things that are going on in Japan include, if you have a heart attack in Japan, the ambulance may have molecular hydrogen in it, because if you go to the hospital breathing molecular hydrogen and oxygen instead of just oxygen, you have a 40% greater chance of staying alive, because it stops the ischemic ischemic cascades. I love that. Hopefully I said that right. And that's because it protects the brain. It crosses the blood-brain barrier and protects the brain from the lack of oxygen that's been going on in it and stops it from causing the explosion of the brain that would otherwise kill people. So if you get into an ambulance in Japan because you're having a heart attack, 40 more people out of 100 are going to be alive than if you have an ambulance trip for a heart attack in the United States. Sad but true. Um, it's actually molecular hydrogen is disseminated throughout Japan. And if you'll go to the next slide, Mary Rose, you'll see it in every aspect of Japanese life now. Beyond the ambulances, it's used in hospitals. They were using it way back during the COVID pandemic because it was bringing relief to people that were in the hospital from COVID, and nothing else was helping. But molecular hydrogen inhalers were helping people get relief from COVID way back then. It's in all the gyms. If you go to a gym and join one, you're going to have a hydrogen water machine in the gym because they know that molecular hydrogen helps make, first of all, workouts easier, and secondly, it helps you recover from the workout. And that's just a fact of life over there. The lounges and the cafes all have molecular hydrogen water. The beauty shops use molecular hydrogen for skincare because it makes the skin younger and healthier. And in fact, for seniors, they're using it throughout senior care facilities because what happens when you feed an aging body molecular hydrogen? It it goes to work and it helps de-age the body. It helps make the body younger and more resilient in general, and we're going to talk about that next. But every aspect of Japanese life is using molecular hydrogen now. It's being used over in Germany. It's being used in China. It's being used in the Czech Republic, and clinics are running all over the place there, doing good by feeding people molecular hydrogen. The U.S. behind the curve. So one of the nice things about molecular hydrogen in this day and age is that the science is starting to mature, and they're starting to figure out how molecular hydrogen works with the body. Here's one of the main things that it does. If you go in and look at the mitochondria and molecular hydrogen, you find that molecular hydrogen is going straight through your body, straight into the mitochondria, and stressing the mitochondria just enough, right, to cause it to have alarms triggered, and then to come in and build its defenses, which means creating new mitochondria to protect itself. And so while it doesn't actually heal, it is a stressor that trains the mitochondria to build and to rebuild, and therefore you've got younger, healthier mitochondria throughout your body. It's the telomeres that shorten every time that they're replaced, grow longer with molecular hydrogen. So that's one of the signs of aging is shortened telomeres. And you put molecular hydrogen in, they watch the telomeres lengthen again. There's just so many good things that it's doing for you. It's not funny, but one of the ones that we know is exactly how it works to cause your mitochondria to be younger and healthier in your body. And so at age 25, this was a study. They found this out during a study, a professional soccer team, and it was actually a study run by Dr. Ota, who discovered the value of molecular hydrogen in the first place. And they found as they were feeding these athletes, and in fact, pretty much every pro team in the United States has these machines at their facilities because they know what it does for pro athletes. Uh, for the soccer team, they fed them specific amounts of molecular hydrogen, and they found that any soccer player under 25, they could feed them the molecular hydrogen on a relatively minimal basis and get the improved recovery and get the higher athletic performance out of them With anybody over 25, they had to pretty greatly increase, double or triple the dose of molecular hydrogen to get the same result. So the threshold, the point when your body is really not making the molecular hydrogen anymore, seems to be about age 25. And so here's a little bit more on that study, uh, because it was very detailed and very well controlled. First of all, they used ice water. The molecular hydrogen gas is so light that it tends to escape almost immediately. And so they put ice cold water in there to try to keep the molecular hydrogen active. They sealed it in aluminum, which is relatively good at holding in molecular hydrogen. It's not perfect, but it's relatively good. And the study said if you open this molecular hydrogen water, you have to drink it within 15 minutes because they're trying to get it into the athlete before the gas migrated out. The interesting part of that is that they could deploy massive doses of molecular hydrogen without any ill effect, without any burden on the body at all. Uh, Probably because the body makes it naturally anyway. But the truth is, in the 3,500 studies, they never found a single negative side effect to molecular hydrogen. If you're having any negative side effects, it's not the molecular hydrogen that's doing it. It's considered very, very safe. You can't call it absolutely safe, but it's considered very, very safe to try, and never worry about it affecting your health negatively. Okay, and so let's talk a little bit about. I'm going to talk about the hydrogen water because that's the machine that I got 5 years ago that initially took the weight off of me and allowed me to feel healthier. I used it when I was really sick, and it's still the most common way for people to absorb molecular hydrogen. And putting molecular hydrogen through water into your gut takes it right to the immune system and does more general good for your body than, even though molecular hydrogen inhalation is good. If you've got problems like Alzheimer's, it might even be better for you. But in general terms, the water is the best thing that you can do on a daily basis to absorb molecular hydrogen and help keep you healthy. The problem is when these machines first came out, which was the company's been around 50 years. The machines that are really producing molecular hydrogen, I think, have been around about 35 years. And back then, that was before Dr. Altai even figured out what molecular hydrogen was doing for the human body. They were seeing a lot of benefits from people. In fact, I believe about 3 million people have bought these machines over that period of time. And the Japanese Ministry of Health has approved it as a medical device because it was doing people good. Didn't understand why, but the Ministry of Health over in Japan is a little different from the US. They saw that it worked and they approved it as a medical device. There were all sorts of theories around why these machines were doing people so much good. They were structured water. There was microclustered water that so it would absorb better because you could microcluster together and it would absorb more easily into the cells, which is not true because the cells can only take in one water molecule at a time. But it was just they didn't know that back then, and so there were theories around it. The pH even. Because it's a higher pH, it's a more alkaline water once it goes through the electrolysis process. They were thinking, well, maybe it's the alkalinity that does that. Not true. Your stomach's hydraulic acid is 2.5. It's so powerful it instantly neutralizes any alkaline water and doesn't your blood stays right within a 7.5 to a 7.7 pH, and no matter how much alkaline water you drink, it's not going to change. The reality is that the machines produce molecular hydrogen, and that molecular hydrogen is the entire basis of the therapeutic benefit. It's what was doing people so good for so many years while they didn't understand what was going on. It was the molecular hydrogen. And Dr. LeBaron wrote a paper about that and said it is all about the molecular hydrogen. It's not about anything else. And if you buy the machine, know that you're getting, at least if you buy a K8, you're getting saturation level doses of molecular hydrogen, which is the way to take it in, and you're getting that on, all day every day. I leave my glass next to my machine, and I'm constantly pour and drink. That's just my methodology, and I'm, and it just keeps working for you. So a lot of the machines out there, you have to be careful. There's a lot of Johnny come latelys. There's a lot of cheap things like the water bottles on Amazon. They don't work for long. In fact, I think Gary Brecka was selling a molecular hydrogen water bottle one year, and the next year he's telling everybody not to buy it anymore because it doesn't keep working. The truth is that it's really hard to get a machine that will produce molecular hydrogen consistently over a long period of time. And because it's a small invisible gas, you don't know when it's not working. There's not a test out there that will give you an accurate reading on how much molecular hydrogen is in the water. You have to just trust that the device is working. Well, nothing better than the Rolls Royce of molecular hydrogen water generators, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. I love my K. I use it every day, and in fact, I'm drinking molecular hydrogen water while I give this talk, and I will never give up on it. It's the way that I can make sure that I'm ingesting something every day at a therapeutic level that I've already found is to create miracles in my life. And so let's go to a 60-second thesis on this. Why is H2 a surgical antioxidant? Antioxidant is sort of a key word that people use. And the truth is that antioxidants can be good for you. Everybody knows vitamin C, right? But they can also be bad for you. You can get accidental neutralization of beneficial radicals, like nitric oxide is beneficial to your body, but the antioxidants in general just go in and take things out. It just sweeps things clean, and in fact, you overdose on antioxidants, and you can actually, and this was from a study. They found that it will reduce your performance. Instead of adding to your athletic performance, it will reduce it, and it will hurt your immune system and raise your blood pressure. So unlike antioxidants in general, molecular hydrogen specifically goes in, because it is an adaptogenic molecule, because it only does exactly what it should, and not anything that it shouldn't. It's absolutely safe to use and does always does its job. I know one study in one lab that I remember was where they took and surrounded a cell with molecular hydrogen, and then they damaged it, and they watched the molecular hydrogen come in and help fix things and get the cell back to normal, and then the molecular hydrogen went back to, it's all around the cell. It just went back to being neutral again. And so molecular hydrogen, because it goes through the blood-brain barrier and all throughout the body without any resistance from the body at all, it goes in and takes out the worst free radical is hydroxyl radical, and it just destroys everything in its path. Well, the molecular hydrogen goes in, gets to the hydroxyl radical, which you see down here, H2 plus 2OH. It changes it into H2O. And so you basically get water out of this really lethal hydroxyl radical that's running around in your body. And it doesn't hurt. It doesn't do anything to the ones like nitric oxide that are actually doing your body some good, but it takes out the really bad ones, and allows your body to be healthier and to work better, because that's what molecular hydrogen was built by evolution to do. And so I'm going to stop there and tell y'all that this was rather a short presentation, my first time giving it, so brand new presentation for me. But I wanted to stop a little bit early and give people a chance to ask questions, because I love questions. And if you've got health issues, and if you've got an interest in molecular hydrogen, but you've heard stories and myths about it, and you're not sure where reality is, let me help. Let me give you information that will be useful to you. And I'll tell you, I can answer a lot of questions. If I can't answer your question, I can take it back to Dr. LeBaron. I'm on a call with him once a month, and I can ask him any question anytime.
Amazing. Thank you so much, John. That was wonderful. Oh my gosh, y'all. John has really made this his life's mission, especially with it coming through and like literally saving his life. Such a powerful testimony and just so incredible, John, that you decided to go and actually become certified at 72 years old, and really study this for the future of humanity. You saw what it was capable of doing. You're an avid learner, and I'm just so grateful for you, and I love you so much. So thank you. That was great.
Well, I love you too, but I'm only 69, darn it. So
Oh, really? I'm so sorry. Oh, it's my other dad is 72. That's what it
there
is.
you go. That's it.
So with that, y'all, if you would like to have any of your questions answered, you can go ahead and come on video now. Please raise your hand to do that. You click the more button and go to reactions and click reactions, and you can raise your hand, and then we can see anybody that has a question
Yeah,
and be able
let's use the rest of this time to
to.
have a discussion. So,
Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Let me check the chat. Any feedback on the presentation?
so hey, Adam, I know you've been following this for a while.
I have a question.
Yes, go
Ask
ahead.
away.
I have heard a little bit about telomeres before, and I heard you talk about that. So, does drinking the water just lengthen your telomeres in general?
It's not drinking the water, it's the molecular hydrogen being ingested into your body in therapeutic amounts that allows your things like the telomere growth to happen, which is, again, from a laboratory study where they actually saw the telomeres getting longer again. So yeah, in essence, you're right. It's drinking the water, but you have to drink water with therapeutic amounts of molecular hydrogen in it. You have to get a good machine that you can count on, and then adopt a methodology that works like pour and drink, and then drink enough of it to be useful. The nice thing about it is the water's alkaline. So at 9.5 pH, it actually tastes really good, and it makes it sort of a pleasure to drink water all day instead of a chore.
Awesome, thank you.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
sure.
Great question, Mabella. And also, I want to say with that I just recently read a book that was about CPTSD, and she talked all about how your telomeres are shortened by trauma in your life, especially through childhood. And it was so cool to realize, like, wow, like we can really like consume molecular hydrogen and regain what was taken from us through trauma. I thought that was so cool. Okay,
De-aging your body.
and was it Kira? Is that how you say your name? Kiralani? Did you have a question?
Oh, sure. So I have been doing a lot of research around transporting the water and how do we get the molecular hydrogen to go with us. And when I researched, it said that the material that would hold the molecular hydrogen the longest is aluminum. And I'm wondering if you would recommend getting aluminum water bags in order to share the water to
So
preserve the
I do
molecular
not
hydrogen.
recommend aluminum. There's other negatives. So you do want the plastic lined aluminum if you get it. But
Yeah.
to tell the truth, I use double and triple walled steel containers to put my molecular hydrogen in when I want to be gone for an extended period of time. I did a test on this, right? Exactly like what Mary Rose has right there. When I drink the water all day, I'm drinking out of a metal glass because I know that the molecular hydrogen will tend to stay in there longer. When I did the test, I tested plastic, I tested the metal, I tested aluminum, and I tested borosilicate glass, which is the glass that's supposed to hold it in. I found that plastic would hold it for hours. The borosilicate glass would hold it for a couple of days. The aluminum would hold it for maybe 3 or 4 days. But if you get a double or triple walled metal container and you fill it up to the top, and then you drink, especially if you have one where you just have a little spout that you open up and you drink out of that spout, you can have the molecular hydrogen stay therapeutic in the water for up to a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's the
Okay.
way to do it. And yeah, I have probably half a dozen. I think the biggest one's 2.5 gallons, but I have probably a half a dozen containers in there that I use, and that's what my son carries with him when he goes out.
Okay.
And so
So,
I think somebody else was asking about the double wall containers. There's plenty of them on Amazon. I'd be glad to recommend somebody to what I got just because. But if it's a metal container, just like if Mary Rose, you want to show yours again?
Mine
If
is,
it's a
this is literally my purse, y'all. To me, molecular hydrogen and water is the currency of my life. So this is my purse. And it's
does
a
it
big
ha-
metal
it has the
container.
little nozzle on it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It goes
Yeah.
up and
So that's great because you can open that up just long enough to take a swig out of it and close it again. And you're keeping the molecular hydrogen in that container at that point. Now, there are different things that will affect that, uh, like heat, right? The hotter it gets, the faster it's going to escape. If you're opening it all the time and drinking out of it all the time, it's going to go way faster than if you just say open and pour a glass, shut, and then don't open it again for some hours or days, whatever. It's going to last longer at that point, right? But there's nothing. I mean, I can send you a link, and I'm happy to. If y'all send me a note, I'll send you a link. But really, just any good double or triple walled container on Amazon, and I think the ones that I really liked had the little sleeve wrapped around them, that had the little nozzle that opened up, and I think they were $25 on Amazon.
I have a lady that comes and fills up every week. She's 84 years old from the gym, and she makes her husband come here every week to fill up on water because he won't buy her one. And she goes to the dollar store and gets as many metal containers as she can and brings them, and he has to carry them all in for her every single time. I just love it so much. But yeah.
Yeah, main thing is don't use plastic, and I think aluminum. Everybody looks at aluminum asking. So if you have aluminum, I probably people are already dinging you for it.
yeah, I was scared of the aluminum, but then I was like, geez, this is something but then I looked at it and it was saying, without heat, it wouldn't corrode because of the properties of aluminum. And so I was just curious your thoughts on that because I'm still reticent to buy aluminum containers, but I was like, that really surprised me. So that's good to know about the double wall. And but those plastic bags that everyone gets aren't even going to last a
They
day, right?
last they last a day maybe, right? So
Mm-hmm.
just depending, but yeah, a few hours at most. If you have even sitting in a glass like this, the molecular hydrogen is so the a therapeutic dose of molecular hydrogen is zero point 0.5 parts per million or more, right? Saturation level is 1.6 parts per million. It's a pretty narrow range, and a glass of even a metal glass of molecular hydrogen water, the molecular hydrogen will drop about half of its power to help. So let's say you're running at one. After 2 hours, it's really at zero point 0.5. You're barely getting any therapeutic value out of it. So again, pour and drink. If you're going to carry it with you, try to put it in a double walled, triple walled metal container that will last you for a while.
Great. Thank you.
Any
Sure.
other questions? Okay, with that,
I think Kayla had a question earlier.
go ahead, Kayla.
I put it in the chat, but I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about some other great resources for research. Like I had
That's
put
a
Google Scholar in there, but maybe you could teach us how to fish.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question because as I mentioned on the uh, on the slideshow, uh, the uh, going to Google just sends you to all the competition. And in fact, most of them are going to be dissing um, Kangen. They're going to diss Enagic because Enagic is the 600-pound gorilla in the room. And so you're going to get a lot of misinformation off of Google. You can't even use AI. If I use AI, I'm trying to run it in circles because I know it's not giving me the best answers all the time. And I'm really working with it to try to get to good answers because AI can't think, right? Unlike the Terminator, AI doesn't think at all. So to get to good, solid answers on molecular hydrogen, one resource is Google Scholar. That's a tool that doctors and scientists use to communicate with each other. But really, the best resource, and I really don't even use Google Scholar anymore because I can find almost anything I need on PubMed. And so PubMed, they're only it's peer-reviewed science. It's validated research papers that you can count on, and they're very sciencey, right? They're very deeply technical, but there is a trick that AI is useful for. You can actually type in ELI, which is explain it like I'm, and you can type in 12 or 16 or something like that, and a colon, and then you can put your link to the study on Google on PubMed after that, and the and AI will rewrite that really intense paper down into simpler language so that it's easier to consume it. And so ELI 16 colon and then the link to the PubMed study, and you'll get a much better, yeah, of any PubMed study. It's really just type in molecular hydrogen and whatever, and you will probably find a study on it. And it's a good study, and you can then take and use the LI methodology to disseminate that information much more easily.
Also, something else on that is lately for me too, I'll tell my ChatGPT, like, look up PubMed and Google Scholar studies only, that are licensed and approved, and about this specific thing. And it will tell me, oh, there's still nothing on that specific thing. However, the symptoms of that thing have been addressed with molecular hydrogen studies. So I can help somebody who, I can't say this is going to necessarily cure this particular thing that somebody's dealing with. Like I had one this last week who they have a daughter with a spinal fluid leak in her brain. Gosh, like molecular hydrogen can't completely restore her entire everything, right? But it can help take off that oxidative stress that's going on in her body to keep herself going, So it does nothing but good, which is the ultimate answer, which I love. It doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned it in my slides, but molecular hydrogen doesn't heal anything, right? It goes in and creates a balance in the body that allows the body to operate with optimum efficiency, whether you're 20 or whether you're 60. And that's the nice thing about it, is you feed an aging body molecular hydrogen, and the scientific studies show the body becoming more resilient and stronger, and it's just molecular hydrogen doing its job of keeping everything in balance in the body and keeping it operating most efficiently. Don't think science, think actually evolution. If you think evolution, the mysteries of molecular hydrogen sort of disappear, and you see the joy of what nature does when it has millions of years to work on a problem. And it finds something like molecular hydrogen that will go throughout the body without any resistance from the body at all. One of the main problems with any drug or anything meant to help the body is that the body fights it. And getting something to actually work inside the body at any efficiency is sort of the point of the billion-dollar studies, right? With molecular hydrogen, there is no resistance. It'll cross that blood-brain barrier without any resistance at all from the body. It'll go to every single part of the body. If you drink it, you'll find that you're breathing out molecular hydrogen within about 20 minutes, and you'll keep breathing for over an hour. It'll just absorb into and then be expelled out of the body as you use it. It's interesting that I'll just tell a little fun fact at you. Over in Japan, they have centenarians over there, and they measured the molecular hydrogen in their bodies and found that these people that live to be over 100 are actually still, when they breathe, they're expelling greater amounts of molecular hydrogen than people here in the United States of the same age. So if they're 100 years old they're 80 years old, let's say they're still have a lot of molecular hydrogen in their systems compared to the people here in the US.
Gosh, John, that's amazing. Does that blow all of y'all's minds, by the way? Like, and to think that we're so behind in preventative medicine, but hey, we're at the forefront now. So that's really great. So I just want to congratulate everyone who showed up tonight to learn, be a part of this. Yes, John?
Can I throw in one more thing before we finish, y'all? Do we have one more moment?
Go ahead. Uh-huh.
So I do want to say something. So in tech, I sold the first cell phones that went into cars, right? $3,195 for a 10 number speed dollar cell phone with a big unit in the trunk, right? And made money hand over fist with that. I went to Dell and stayed on the forefront of the technology, the first internet, Dell going to work with partners, all of the things that were happening that were cutting edge. That's what I would lean into. I know what it looks like to see things changing. And one of the things that seems obvious to me, because we already see what molecular hydrogen looks like in the rest of the world, right? We see how prevalent it is throughout Japanese society, and how it's being used in hospitals and clinics around the world compared to here in the United States. It is going to hit the United States, according to Dr. LeBaron, not me, but according to Dr. LeBaron, the year that it really begins to hit is next year. And so that he made that prediction back in 2017, I think. And in 2027, he expects it to be hitting strong, and we're seeing that right now. Where you did used to hear nothing about it, and now you're starting to hear about it from people. He says that within 5 years of that, it's going to become a new foundation of modern medicine. So it will become foundational to all of medicine in the next few years here. I think it was by 2035, and that's the PhD's predictions, not mine.
Thank you,
Which to me
John.
is opportunity to talk to everybody about molecular hydrogen, and just know when you're talking about it, you probably are doing somebody some good.
Yeah, we really believe in our home that it's a disservice to tell people about this. And so we just run our mouths absolutely everywhere. And it's just an open invitation. And how cool is it that the company that created the K8, you invest and you have a business for life. You invest in yourself. There's no overhead, nothing. So if you have a K8 already, congratulations. You got the best of the best. And if you don't have one already, come and talk to us. We can get you started on that. The company does in-house financing even, which has nothing to do with your credit. It's a whole other global prosperity movement that's taking place. And it's just amazing. So glad that, Mr. Oshiro, who was originally indigenous, went on his entire journey from living as in Okinawa to where this is now. It's across 140 countries, over 3 million distributors and growing, with 42 physical locations. This is a total movement and a 500-year vision for healing this planet from the inside out on a cellular level. So it's so exciting, and it's just amazing to be a part of it. And I'm excited that some of us have been there at the forefront going, I know it's magic water. We all feel good for 5 years. I'm so glad that John, my own stepfather, got certified through the Molecular Hydrogen Institute so we can lead the way for other people, y'all. You're a part of something so spectacular and powerful. So we highly recommend you share this presentation with as many people as possible. Share the prosperity. It's there for everyone. It's possible for everyone. And with that, I would love to just, everyone who wants to be willing to become on camera, I want to take a little picture of this because this is a huge moment. This is our first presentation, y'all, of many, many to come. And so we will see y'all as well in Georgia, where Dr. Stephen Tyler LeBaron and John are both going to be speaking in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Ignite event. And I will be speaking on real estate and what's going on with water and freshwater resources and helping people get their water on point so you have good, clean water before you put it through these amazing medical devices. Okay, with that, if y'all can come on camera, that would be so awesome.
Yeah, well, y'all are coming on. If anybody wants to call me anytime and ask questions about molecular hydrogen or get some help with a customer, don't hesitate. Hi, Amy.
Gina! Oh my gosh! Yay!
Hello, y'all.
Okay, come on, don't be shy. That's cool. We'll get these right here. I know some of y'all might be in your pajamas. It's the glory of getting to do everything from the internet now, right? Okay, I'm gonna turn around and take a selfie, and I'll take one of the screens. There we go. Kari, you want to say? Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Great, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up and showing out. Woo-hoo! We'll be doing some more of these, and we'll get the replay to everyone. Y'all have a beautiful night. So good to see y'all. Bye.
Bye-bye.